Hi everyone, welcome to my channel, Mosaic Maria. My name is Maria. Happy Saturday, and it is 7:45 in the morning. I'm gonna try to make this video quick. Um, okay, so like the rest of the world, or maybe not, um, I was very unsure whether I wanted to see the video of Tyre Nichols being arrested and brutalized. I really, from what I heard in the news, it was going to be very graphic. It was going to be worse than Rodney King. It was going to be crimes against humanity. It was going to be deplorable. It was going to be all this and that and just terrible. And I just really, I wanted to look away. I figured if they have so much camera footage that the police chief came out immediately and fired them and made public how bad this was, that she disbanded them, um, there's something else going on. That is what I figured immediately is, and that is what has come out, is that now this Scorpion specialized unit behaved as a mob around Memphis. They may have even named themselves. They were known for roughing people up, even elderly. There were complaints against this unit that people had been physically harmed by them. They have a record of beating on an elderly man in his 60s. They have a record of another young man that they brutally beat, and he has pictures. And these people went to the sheriff's office, and to Captain Davis would have known that these five men have each other's backs and behave like a mob. So even though a lot of people are praising the chief for quickly dismantling the five men and firing them, sadly, she already knew that they were roaming the streets like a gang. So my interpretation of the video, there's several things that I picked up on, that I wrote down, that I didn't really want to look. I didn't want to hear. I didn't want to hear him crying for his mother. I didn't want to hear any of that. We don't know what Tyre was doing, other than his mom has said he loved to photograph sunsets, and after work he would stay late and photograph the sunset. So let's say he photographed the sunset and had a cold brew or was smoking something, right? And he gets back in his car, and what the police are saying is he was driving recklessly. He was all over the place. Swerving, he was all over the place. So they're suspecting, what they say allegedly is that they're suspecting a DUI, driving under the influence of something. What the police have also said is that he had superhuman powers, which led them to believe he was on something, that he was out of his mind, that he ran from them, that he forced them to chase him. He forced them to chase, like he put them in a situation where they had to chase him. What I saw was, well, one, I just want to mention the police car that was the first officer that's driving behind him. I'm figuring if somebody is swerving in front of you, you're going to hang back a little bit, or you're going to try to get up near them to slow them down, one or the other. I don't see this guy doing anything but pulling like a regular traffic stop. He's driving along, and I see his little air freshener tree in his mirror, in his car, his rear view mirror. You know, those deodorizer trees that you're not supposed to have because somebody could pull you over and say you're obstructing your view, and you could get killed for that too. I'm so glad I don't drive. Um, so those the air deodorizers, they have pulled people over and they've ended up dead because they had an air tree hanging. So that's the first thing I'm thinking is, wow, didn't you not the Memphis, but didn't the police pull somebody over because they had an air tree obstructing their view and they ended up dead? Yeah, they did. Okay, but it's okay for the police to drive around with it. All right, so I kept looking at that thinking, whoa, you ought to take that air tree down because somebody could pull you over. All right, so the policeman has an air tree in his car. He pulls up, the first policeman. I don't understand how you jump up to a window and yell, get out immediately and start pulling on a man to take him out of the car. And I heard a very articulate man saying, what did I do? I heard Tyre say, what did I do wrong? What? Whoa. Like, okay, wait, whoa. Like, you don't need to do all this. All of a sudden, there's 4 or 5 people in his face. You don't need to do all this. I'm on the ground. Get on the ground, get on the ground, get on the ground, get on the ground. Get on the ground. I'm on the ground. I'm already on the ground. What do you want? I'm on the ground. You don't expect to be arrested when a police officer pulls you over. You don't expect to be pulled. You expect to sit in the car and the officer to say, can I see your driver's license? Can I see your registration? Where are you going? I saw you were swerving a little bit. Are you okay? Maybe would you like to step out, do a little sobriety test? Would you like to blow in a little thing, walk a little bit? You don't expect them to. So it's really aggressive from the beginning. And the police officer that pulls the pepper spray, I don't know who trained them to do pepper spray, but they're spraying each other. They are spraying each other, and the one guy that gets the pepper spray in his face, the one police officer, and the other one, he's calling for water. I don't know who told him to put water in their eyes, but to me, it doesn't look like they're trained in anything. It's taking 5 men to repeatedly try to handcuff one man that is on the ground. The police officer has his hand like this. And Tyree's looking up and he's saying, I'm on the ground, I'm on the ground. And he's yelling, give me your hand, give me your hand, give me your hand, give me your hand. You either have a situation where 5 police officers in Memphis do not know how to handcuff a person. Does nobody know how to arrest a person without killing them anymore? 5 men? Okay. So for quite some time, they're trying to get the handcuffs on him, and he's not. I mean, one hand is flailing. That's true. His body's kind of still moving because he's trying to get comfortable. That's true. I don't see him resisting. Why did he run? Why did he run? People, I've been on all kinds of threads where people are like, he ran. Okay. He ran home. He said, all I'm trying to do is go home. His home was what, 90 yards away, 100 yards away? He was he was within running distance of his home. When he realized, hey, I'm not even doing anything, they're just gonna pull me out of the car and arrest me for what? For what? Then you see later on in, I think it's video 4. Video 4 is the longest and it's the most troublesome to me. Video 1 and video 4. Or maybe it's video 5 because it doesn't come from the Memphis police. It comes from the city police, the sky police, the pole in the air that caught the video. You see them finally call an ambulance after they have propped him up against a car several times. They have um, handcuffs on him and they've got him up against the car and he's trying to get comfortable. He's got his head up against the car. And you see he slumps down like this. And you can hear a couple of police officers saying, no, he's slumping down. No, get his head up. Like You do hear one guy in there say, like, make sure he's breathing. You'd have to go back and listen very carefully because they're all kind of like explaining to each other what's with him, why they make us chase him. I had to use my pepper spray. I had to tase him. They're putting their story together, and it's just like a whole gang mentality where they are fixing themselves first. They're taking care of their own pepper spray in their eyes. Oh, I get it. If the plane's going down and you got your baby with you, you put the mask on you, then you put your mask on your baby. So you're going to take care of your partner. You're going to make sure you're okay so you can go do what you got to do. But there was nothing to do. They pepper sprayed themselves. They freaking pepper sprayed themselves. Dummy ran into the pepper spray he just sprayed. And then he's like, he sprayed me. He didn't spray him. Tyre did not spray anyone. Oh, wow, he got a gun. No, he didn't turn a taser on him. He didn't fight. He ran. He ran. He went down on the ground when they said go down on the ground. He kept looking up at them saying, you don't have to do this. All this? What are you doing? Come on, come on. I mean, his face is up like this. He's pleading with them. He's like, what are you doing? But probably the worst. I mean, I looked away then when they said, you're gonna see kicking, hitting, baton, blah blah blah. I didn't want to see that. Don't need to see it. I already know they were brutal with him. They used excessive force for no reason. They found no drugs. They found no handgun. He wasn't drunk. He wasn't using illicit drugs. He wasn't running from a crime. So maybe they just wanted to have a little talk with him. Maybe they wanted to question him. Why are you swerving? What are you doing on this side of the road at night? It's 8:30 at night. I think it's kind of like this residential area. I'm wondering where all the neighbor cameras are. I'm wondering when Tyre was running, why no doorbell videos got camera. I'm wondering where the third party camera footage is, if that's going to come forward. I'm wondering why the EMTs that showed up, the one particularly with his mask on and his gloves, stood over him and said, hey, you're not going anywhere, buddy. Where do you think you're going? That EMT stood there for a good 7 minutes before he even tried to render and give any care to Tyre. It was another 20 minutes before we saw anybody show up with a stretcher. First call should have been to the ambulance, but they were getting their story together. So my question is, was he even conscious when they put him on the ambulance? What did the EMTs do to assist him to breathe, to help his spine, to maybe check if he was going in shock? I don't even see them putting a blood pressure cuff on him. I don't. I don't see them doing any kind of care for Tyre. Nothing. I see them standing there talking to him, like waiting around, like the police are all talking. They're all, like these guys are getting their jollies off talking about it. Like, oh yeah, he made me chase him. Yeah, yeah. They were kicking him, punching him, batoning him, threatening him with batoning him to death because he made them chase. The other guy got pepper spray in his face. I There are some other people that need to be fired, questioned. The EMT, the first responders. What happened on the ambulance? Was Tyre conscious on the ambulance? Was he fighting on the ambulance? What happened on the ambulance? I want to know. I want to know everything now. Now I want to know, how did they get him? How did they transport him? Don't the EMT have cameras too? So that sometimes when the ambulance shows up, they get you on a stretcher, they strap you in. Now you're really strapped in, right? Where are you going? You're on an ambulance. Did he have the cardiac arrest on the ambulance? Was he alive? Was he breathing when he got to the hospital? I mean, that'll come out in the trial, but I did the captain know that these 5 men who call themselves Scorpion were driving around Memphis like a bunch of mob mentality, beating on elderly people? Did she know she had a bad crew out there and that's why oh, somebody died? You're gone? Was she afraid to dismantle this bunch of bad crew? Was she afraid to dismantle them earlier because there would have been retaliation? Because what I see in this police, every single one of these tapes, there is this code of silence where when one police officer comes up, and I've seen this among police um, uh, in where I live, if there's one police officer that answers or is just kind of hanging out, they're very kind, very considerate, very helpful, very nice. And when that second, third police officer shows up, all of a sudden that first officer is acting kind of full of themselves. They're kind of getting they're performing for each other. Like they're gonna be formal now. I've had situations where, and around where I work, where we get police in there all the time, and you'll have one or two, they're talking really nice, and now three or four are in, and they're like, you can almost see their chest go up, like pulling on pulling their pants up a little higher and getting that stoic look on their face, professional. Whereas maybe 2 minutes early they were joking with you about the food, football, whatever, the weather, and walk two or three more police. Now they're totally different. So that's why I've always said group dynamics really interest me. How people change up as people enter their environment around them. So what I see is in all of these videos that we've seen of arrests where people have died and been brutalized, is that when it's one officer, they're okay until the second, third one shows up. So I don't know if these 5 traveled together all the time, um, or they just called for backup for each other. But it's horrible, and my prayers are with his mother and his father. I know people are calling him his stepfather, but he raised him. It's his father, his family, Memphis, everyone that's protesting worldwide. Tyre's mother really made it clear that Tyre is a peaceful, loving man. I hear his father, he has a son. I- just, I mean, I get it. Some people are saying, well, we have the blueprint now for how it should be done, dismantle, fire, charges right away. Some people are asking, why are the 5 men out on bail? Because they have their right to due process. They have their right. Sadly, they do. Even though the footage is showing what we're seeing, they have their right to explain. And that is why I have such a problem with false accusations and people considered guilty because of their history or how they're dressed or how they look or what diagnosis they have or their characteristics or whatever. Even when we see a crime happen, we're watching it. We're watching men kick a young man in the face who's handicapped, kick him in the head, kick him in the spleen or kidney, ribs, down on the ground. Even when we see them People are shocked that police are using curse words. Are you kidding me? People are shocked because they were yelling obscenities at him. Well, yeah, that's what they do. That not all, but once they got a crowd, they're all together. Yeah, that is a mob mentality, and they're all going to follow each other. They're all going to follow each other's. There isn't going to be one police officer that says to three, "Oh, we better cut it out now." There isn't going to be an EMT that's going to pull up and say, "What the hell happened here?" No, they're all just going to play along. They're scared of each other. They're scared of each other because if they don't get retaliated on, I mean they're targeted. They'll get your family or they'll get someone down the road. They'll come up with something. They'll set you up. They'll dirty you up. There's, by putting police on the streets to it's police, we've militarized people and given them a gun, a taser gun, a camera, a baton. Eh, They they we've given them permission to use excessive force in any situation they want to. I really thought things would be different after we all saw Mr. George Floyd die, after we all saw Mr. Daniel Prude die. I mean, so many. Um, I'm listening to what people are asking. How did he end up being propped up? They dragged him on the sidewalk. They dragged him on the sidewalk and propped him up against the car after he fell on his back. So he kept slipping in and out of consciousness, and they still didn't call. He was bleeding. I'm not talking about a few scrapes. I'm talking about he was kicked in the face. There was blood coming out of his mouth. And they were propping him up and just walking away like, I can't believe he made me run. I can't believe he made me use my taser gun. I'm going to have to write a report for this. And did you see how fast he was running? It's like a little club. And they're all shooting the breeze about it. I wasn't going to watch it. I was not going to watch it. I am not sorry I did. There has to be training better than what I'm saying some policemen are doing, because I have met so many good policemen. But if you're in an organization, like they're an organized unit, if you're in an organized unit that's gonna retaliate against you, your family, if you correct or go against them, it's a horrible thing. It's like might as well be in the military. Might as well be in a mob. I mean, I get it. Policemen are a family. Firemen are a family. EMTs are a family. I get it, but I don't see anybody doing anything to resuscitate or help or assist Tyre at all. I see the EMT that shows up just standing around. In fact, taunting him, saying, "Where do you think you're going? You're not going anywhere, buddy. You're not going anywhere. You're staying right here. You're staying here. You're not going. No, 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 no. You're not going anywhere. Where do you think you're going? Where do you think you're going?" His medical bag is there, but he doesn't do anything. So as far as I'm concerned, they need to look at who saw the reports that this task force brutalized a man in his 60s, bloodied and beat another man, and also, and more people that came forward. Where's the neighborhood footage camera? And where's the report from the ambulance people that were on the scene? I want to hear from the ambulance people. I wouldn't want to get on an ambulance where the EMTs are listening to the police. Like, we've seen that before with Mr. Daniel Prude. That's exactly what we saw. The ambulance showed up. They were like, "Oh, well, he was doing this, he was doing that. Uh, he's probably drugged out. Let him lay there in the ice and snow a little longer." Yeah, he was spitting. He was spitting at it. Hmm. All standing around, putting their gloves on, looking at each other. Right here in Rochester, New York. There is a chain of command that has to be followed, and I didn't see the EMTs doing that. Now, God bless all the EMTs that are there and treat people respectfully and save them. That said, when they know that person is in custody and they're being transferred from the police, they follow the police order instead of what they know they should be doing, like make sure that person has an airway, make sure they're not going into shock, get a blood pressure cuff on them, stop the bleeding, sit them in the right position so they don't choke on their vomit, or after all of that, they could vomit, right? I mean, just they might be in a position where they can't get a breath. Their back may have been injured while they were handcuffed, kicked, held on the ground. I wish I didn't see that, but I saw it, and now I can't help but now really look at it and have more questions. Like they knew this particular force scorpion was dirty. They knew it. They knew they had a bunch of bullies driving around out there. They knew it long before this. Long before this tragedy with Tyre, they knew it. Even to the point of the police calling Tyree's parents home and saying, "You can't go to the hospital. We're going to book him." And then the doctors having to call Tyree's mom and say, "Do you know your son's in the hospital? Gone into cardiac arrest?" And there's so much wrong with this. So much wrong. And I don't want to say that all police are wrong, because I have met too many wonderful police. But there is a change up that happens when they get together in front of people. They kind of like the shield, this human shield goes up, and they go into their police persona of, I am not talking to citizen right now because I am policeman. It's like, everybody talks about, well, we're all in a fishbowl right now. We're all watching each other, and we all got Big Brother and cameras here, and anybody can flip their phone out and tape this into that, right? We're all on candid camera. But the police they can move their camera around. They can avert their camera. They can shield their camera. They can say it was in the middle of a wrestling. Their camera got um okay, that's all I want to say. I want to hear from the first responder who stood there. I didn't take what he was saying as comfort. Like, you aren't going anywhere. Where do you think you're going? Like, just he was trying to get up. He was like, I want to go home. I want to go home. He was trying to go to his mom home. And even the ambulance driver, you're not going anywhere. You're not going anywhere. Where do you think you're going like this? You're not going anywhere. They didn't help him. I want to hear from who put him on the ambulance, what condition he was in when he got on the ambulance, on that stretcher and what they did for him on the ambulance. That's what I want to know. And I hope they can find more footage of what Tyre's car was doing, because I don't see anything. And somebody should remind the police they should take their air fresheners out of their car in Memphis. Because one of their partners might pull them over for obstruction of view. Plus, they stink. Not good to breathe in. Not good for your lungs. Okay, everybody have a nice day. If you watch the video, watch it carefully. Let me know what you think. And stay safe out there. Follow all the rules. And for those of you that are, I don't know, smokers or weeders or whatever, um, you know, you can be considered under the influence if you smoke stuff. Um, you can be given medication. Uh, it could be prescribed medication, and you can still be considered under the influence. So it doesn't have to be drunk, doesn't have to be stoned. You can be considered impaired. Okay, so just be careful driving out there. All right, take care, everyone. Bye bye.